The Laws of Ascension, Chapter 66. Second match. What do you mean you share your senses? Cyrilda asks Lorik as his phantom wolf disappears. I can feel what they feel and see what they see. I can even share my sense of smell. But I can't share taste, thankfully. Lorik says, remembering when he had his wolves hold Ulrich down. He's glad he didn't have to taste his blood. Cyrilda looks to King Eldrin, who nods. Is something wrong with that? Sarah asks. No, but it's rare for other summoners to be able to share senses like that. Only spells designed to share senses have the ability to do so. So it was just surprising to hear he could share so many senses with them. Cyrilda replies, Can you only summon one wolf? Leora asks Lorik. No, I can summon a total of 6. But if they die, I can't resummon them for a while. Lorik replies, causing her to nod. Looks like they're starting, Eldrin says while motioning toward the arena. Rowan walks out of the entrance below them. On the other side, a woman walks out. She's holding a long bow with a brown quiver on her back. He's up against another archer, Cyrilda says as the two fighters enter the stage. Another professor is waiting for them. He's wearing a white suit and has a sword sheathed on his hip. Are the two of you ready? He asks while looking at them in turns. They each nod and ready their weapons. Great, the rules are simple. Either knock out or render your opponent unable to fight. If either of you leave this stage, you'll lose automatically. Now begin. He shouts before stepping back quickly. The woman draws her bow and aims at Rowan. Rowan holds up his shield and points his mace toward her. She shoots her arrow as a magic circle appears under her. The circle is a mix of red and brown, both colors intertwining through the circle without any clear pattern. Her arrow bounces off Rowan's shield as she jumps forward to get away from the circle. As she does, magma shoots out of it straight into the air. It starts falling, but she doesn't notice it. She glanced back at Rowan and saw him sprinting toward her. She draws another arrow with her right arm when a bit of magma lands on her left arm. The pain causes her to drop her bow and grit her teeth. She quickly picks it back up and turns to run. Before she can, Rowan charges into her, bashing his shield into her. A blue energy flows off the shield onto her. She collapses limply, and Rowan lowers his mace to her chest. The professor ends the match with Rowan as the victor. He's practiced his spells. He's no longer chanting their names now. Cyrilda says a little proudly while they all stand up, Are you sure these matches are safe? Leora asks as a healer runs up to tend to the woman. Yes, they're perfectly safe. The professors can all stop the matches before the students can even blink. Not to mention, we have the kingdom's best healers here at the ready. King Eldrin replies, It's just... Leora starts before Cyrilda places a hand on her shoulder. I know it may look dangerous, but it's perfectly safe. Besides, you're watching the Academy's Team 1. Rowan uses 2 laws of the second echelon. Sarah, Vera, and Lorik all use first echelon laws, so their matches will be more intense than normal. Cyrilda says as they walk toward the stairs. They find Rowan downstairs waiting for them. Congratulations, you finally beat an archer, Sarah says teasingly. You're never gonna let me live that down, are you? Rowan asks, causing her to laugh. They make their way to the first arena, where A-Block's matches are. Sarah walks to the waiting room while the others gather in the stands. Once they're all seated, a man walks up to Lorik. He's wearing a clean red suit with a white undershirt. He has short brown hair and green eyes. A pair of guards in metal armor follow him, but they stop and stand back instead of walking up to Lorik and the others with the man. Excuse me, are you Lorik Bolt? The man asks while stopping in front of Lorik. Yes, are you here about my familiar? Lorik asks back, causing the man to nod. I'm part of the Ruby Alchemist Guild. We're very interested in purchasing any fur, blood, or whatever else your Fenrir can provide. We'd pay, of course, and here, this was written by the head of my guild. The man says while handing Lorik a piece of paper. Lorik scans it before flipping it over and reading the back. All right, tell her I'll come by once the tournaments are over and I'll discuss this with her, Lorik says while handing the paper back. The man smiles before nodding. I will. Feel free to drop by whenever you're available, the man says before turning around and leaving happily. What was that about? Leora asks. They want to purchase Nixfang's shedded fur and extract a bit of blood. They've offered a hefty sum for it, so I'll be discussing it with them, Lorik replies. Is the hefty sum the same as I told you? Cyrilda asks. No, but it's close. Besides, that's the second time today that someone asked about this. I imagine word will get out soon that I agreed to meet them, so more people will come asking. Lorik replies, Will you still go to them if you find a better offer? Rowan asks. Yeah, I already said I would. They didn't ask to continue buying, they only wanted to buy some now. Lorik replies before Leora sighs. Is it okay to be selling Nixfang's fur and blood like that? She asks. Yeah, she doesn't mind, Lorik says before mist pours off him. I enjoy it, actually, Nixfang says as she appears from the mist. Now brush, please, she says while laying her head on Lorik's lap. Brush? Cyrilda asks as Lorik takes a brush out of his storage ring. I got a brush after we got back from the woods when I broke my bracelet. I got it because my legs would get covered in her shedded fur when I rode her. But she did grow quickly, so she had a lot more than usual, but now she just enjoys getting brushed. So I'll brush her before bed or during the day sometimes to keep her clean and collect her shedded fur. Lorik replies while bushing Nixfang. Speaking of, what happens to her shedded fur if she stays in your soul for a while? And what's it like in your soul? Leora asks. It's nice. I can run all I want there. Nixfang replies. When mages store familiars in their souls, they enter what's referred to as a pasture. The familiars find themselves in a seemingly infinite space where they can run around all they want. They eat and drink their master's soul power, so they don't feel hunger there, Cyrilda explains. But, or at least for Nixfang, she doesn't lose her shedded fur. Instead, it just balls up around her. When she first came out after being in my soul for a few days, it was like she had an extra coat of fur on. That was also the first time she tried getting brushed. Lorik says, causing Leora to chuckle. Could I try brushing her? Leora asks. Before Lorik can answer, Nixfang takes the brush from Lorik with her fangs. She carries it to Leora and sets it on her lap. There's your answer, Lorik says as Leora smiles and picks up the brush. What's this gem in the back? Leora asks while brushing Nixfang. The brush is green, with a white gem in the center of the back of the brush. That's like the gems on our storage rings. It can't store as much, but it gathers all the shedded fur that would normally get stuck in it. Lorik replies as the fighters enter the stage. Sarah's opponent is a man holding a longsword. He bows to Sarah as he enters the stage but doesn't say anything. Are you two ready? The professor asks, and the both of them nod. He steps back before starting the match. Prison of Light, Sarah shouts, causing a magic circle to appear under her opponent. It's 15 feet wide, and he's in the center of it. The circle is a bright gold color and lights up. Rays of light shoot out of the edges of the circle. They bend and connect above the man before bars appear linking them together. Within seconds, a giant birdcage made of light appears, trapping the man. A small red ball of gas suddenly appears above the man. It grows to be 10 feet wide before a bright red star appears in the gas. It shoots out and straight into the man's head. A crimson-colored crescent moon appears on his forehead. His eyes bulge with pain before he charges the bars of his cage. His sword engulfs in flames from a magic circle around the guard. He tries cutting the bars, but his sword bounces off. He tries a few more times before stepping back. I yield, the man says before Sarah cancels the curse and the spell. Sarah returns to the arena and meets up with the others. Great job out there, Cyrilda says as they leave the arena. They make their way to the fourth arena where D-Block's matches are held. Your weakening curse pairs well with your new cage spell, Rowan says, causing her to nod, especially since it only increases its effects over time. Even if my opponent breaks out, they'll have been weakened beforehand. Sarah says before sighing, except for Vera who can cut through it, she adds. Do you think I could cut through your curse? Vera asks. I imagine you could cut through her stars, but once it hits you, you probably won't be able to destroy it. Lorik replies. What makes you say that? Cyrilda asks. Her law lets her destroy things. If she can destroy magic by cutting it, the same should be true for soul abilities. But once it's in her, she won't have a target to cut. Well, unless she cuts herself, but that's risky. Lorik replies, causing her to nod. They get to the fourth arena, and Lorik walks to the waiting room. Leora's riding Nixfang, still brushing her as she walks. Once they're back to the stands, Leora sits on the ground. Nyx Fang lays across her legs while she continues brushing her. She's so soft, isn't she? Vera says while petting Nyx Fang next to Leora. She is, and warm too, Leora replies before the fighters enter the stage. They must have had quick matches here, Eldrin says as Lorik walks up to the stage. His opponent is a young man covered in scars. His fingers and face are full of various scars. A nasty scar goes from his forehead all the way toward his left ear. He has disheveled short black hair. His eyes are blue and he smiles at Lorik. Lorik's soul weapons appear in a puff of mist. Are the two of you ready? The professor asks. Yeah, Lorik's opponent replies as Lorik nods. Then begin. The professor shouts before stepping back quickly. Lorik suddenly flinches and narrows his eyes. The man looks a bit surprised before smiling again. He pulls a knife out from his hip. He stabs it into his left thigh. Blood stains Lorik's uniform over his thigh in the same place as the man pulls the knife out.